Hello, welcome to my quest. This report is on exploring the human enterprise framework. Hello, Patrick. Welcome to my quest. This presentation is a continuation from my first assignment on Bowman and Deal's human enterprise frameworks. My purpose is to use what I have learned about my dominant and less dominant frames and combined with your feedback to dig deeper and identify my specific beliefs behind my frames and better understand the foundation that I have built and how that looks for authentic reframing. I do apologize that I am reading from notes. It's how if one of the frames could be a scattered frame, kind of like this picture, then that would be me. But I'm going to present and have fun. For me, the first assignment was my first step to understand the 4 frames and to learn about my dominant and less dominant frames and consider the results of the Bowman and Deal assessment. This came at perfect timing, as when I completed the first assignment, I was unemployed. I've actually been unemployed since last May. I have recently started a new job, and so this is my challenge or my severance. Through my initiation, I will share my top key takeaways from each frame and explain their impact on my beliefs and show how my foundation is being remolded. Through my return and my key objectives, I will make a list of what tools that I will try now in my new job. It actually has already been 4 weeks now that I have been in my role, and already I have felt my shadow beliefs. I have felt doubt, fear, insecurity, but also at times my power, which I've learned through these frames. Without risking feeling overwhelming, I will commit to 2 actions that will encourage me to celebrate just being, but act on the doing. I stole one of your phrases, Patrick, from your feedback on my first assignment because it really resonated with me. Transition into a new job and culture is an opportunity to shape your relationship with work through the lens of the 4 frames and presence. This couldn't have came at a more perfect time. Let us begin. These are my frames. After completing the assessment from Bowman and Deals, my percentile rankings indicated that I was relatively balanced across most frames, slightly higher in the politics, but overall my dominant frames are politics and symbolic, and my lowest dominance frame is structure. So let's talk about my frames and the beliefs that have contributed to my earlier foundation. I'll say earlier as in pre-course. HR from our class textbook, just in regards to human relations, I really appreciated the statement by Schwartz and Porath from our textbook that the reality for a white-collared worker who aren't eager to go to work, don't feel they get much appreciation while they're there, having trouble getting everything done and doubt that their work makes much of a contribution. They arrive home deflated and haunted by round-the-clock demands. That's definitely how I was feeling. In my recent career chapters, I have been left disappointed one too many times from people in the HR department and often wonder why they chose their career. Oddly enough, When I have joined previous roles, I instinctively think of HR and gravitate towards this area because I always have hope. But I look at this area as a band of heroes who are there to help connect employees with the company's visions and goals. To me, HR people are symbolic of what the company represents to its people and are there to support you. They're like shepherds herding their herd down the right path so everyone feels safe. Symbolic. The influence. I really enjoyed the symbolic quest exercise we did in a group discussion, as it allowed me to be reminded of things that I look up to and also forward to. Symbols make me feel safe and hopeful. It is always a way I can ground myself when I feel unbalanced. A familiar reminder, a smell, a sight, something that just brings me back. It also reminds me of how I can also give back to the community, which is what I really enjoyed about that exercise. In my new job, I instinctively looked for symbols that represented leadership, community, and inspirational messages. Because this is important to me. I need to feel part of the company because it becomes part of my community. It's important. When I reflect on my childhood and even early adulthood, I had issues with self-confidence and never felt like I belonged anywhere. So my work environment matters to me. Belonging to something that's bigger than me gives me purpose. I want to be symbolic myself and hope to convey to others that I am trustful, reliable, and have integrity. In my new job, I was actually quite taken with my manager who hired me. She symbolized a person who had worked hard from the ground up and has remained humble. I also respected her as a woman and to have achieved her level of authority in a company primarily that management is men. And we'll look at the political and power. I enjoyed Belgian bureaucracy's political map and learning how to map power and interest to highlight where your most efforts need to be applied for when setting up a team. I actually did this with myself, and I was really quite surprised by where my efforts and my interest laid, because it was quite opposite of what I thought, but a very enjoyable exercise. Political is one of my dominant frames, and it really doesn't surprise me because I tend to show my power by fostering relationships, creating networks and coalitions. I'm a negotiator. I enjoy bringing people together. There are those who attract or create the drama, and I often find myself in the middle or affected by corporate politics. Power struggles among management, which often left me feeling displaced and not connected to the company anymore. This feeling empowered me to ensure that no one around me would feel this way. I am a crusader that will find reason among chaos and attempt to bring balance to my peers. Structure. This is my least dominant frame and what I've struggled with through most of my life, both personally and professionally. But I believe it's because it's how I perceived it, and this course really helped me break through those barriers. My first interpretation of the structure frame was feeling restrictive and not being able to fully express myself. However, I realized I had more in common with this frame than I thought. I am interested in the how of the change and enjoy taking the steps to ensure positive change happens. I believe my struggle is more with taking on too much and feeling overwhelmed. I'm a constant multitasker. There's so much noise in here. The meditation is helping me to clear out all that. But I know that this also sabotages with my want to always organize, task do the task, follow up, procedure, process. It's funny, it's all part of structure, and yet that is something that I have a hard time with. Now, when I pinpoint it further down, what I have more of a hard time with is feeling it's the pressure. I constantly take on too much. I get myself overwhelmed because I over multitask. I set unrealistic goals and have a hard time meeting deadlines, which this report would be an example. I get lost easily in translation, and this happens quite frequently. I have difficulty articulating my thoughts, which was something I've struggled with throughout this whole program. I'm in this pool of incredible people, and they, just like you, Patrick, you have such an incredible way to articulate your words, and I constantly feel myself Googling what words mean and having a dictionary, but then at some point I have to come to terms with that and actually be at peace with that, because that's not me, and I need to feel comfortable in my own structure, and I'm getting better. I'm definitely getting better. Physically, I can actually feel the pressure on my chest. It's like a rock, and it just holds me down, and I just can't move. And that's what I found with sometimes doing these presentations, is just trying to get that message out, and I get stuck. So, but through this discussion in the course and learning about the frames and how to reframe myself has helped immensely with this challenge. In my new job, I immediately identified that the office lacks structure in their processes, and that this is where I could actually be of help. But what I had to recognize first was not to just jump in ahead of myself and try and be something that I'm not. I tend to do that. I will put on another mask and pretend to be my mirage. I find myself comfortable there, but yet then I get caught in my theatrics, and that's not good. So first, I need to learn everything I need to know in this job, and to do it to the best of my ability, and then I can add value, and that's part of my commitment, part of my action steps. We're getting there. My challenges. This was a lot of fun. I enjoy finding images to express the emotion. So of course, looking through my new frames, my new lenses. This course has helped me to identify the pre-existing baggage that I bring to the table before starting something new, like my new job. Only 4 weeks in, and I feel scared, lost, stupid, middle-aged, lack of confidence, insecure. This was my checklist coming in. I start off confident, I can do the interview, get the job, and then all those shadow beliefs come in. I'm committed to putting on my new frames, which is part of my doing. And by acknowledging my fears, I am being present, or just being. By being more present allows me to think about my frames and to consider my power. This was one of my big takeaways from reviewing the frames and learning more about how each frame integrates into each other, and that there's power in those bridges, and power in finding balance among all four. And through presence, I will tap into that power. I have identified my challenges and now need to acknowledge my strengths and my transitional power from frame to frame as I transition into my new role. Welcome to my tool belt. Here we're talking about my power, which was a concept I did not really understand when we first started discussing these frames. And I naturally gravitated towards where I needed to develop the corners I hide and the cracks. But within each of these frames and in my presence, or while I'm present, there's power. And that is what I'm going to work on. So, for the power in politics, where are my sources of power? Well, this is the jungle, as they call it, I believe. My power is to be an advocate for the people and myself. I can bargain, negotiate, build alliances, and prepare for conflict. I think this is why I'm very comfortable in this frame. But now I need to get comfortable with the other frames too. In HR, these are the relationships that support me. As a catalyst, I know I need people because I want to be that positive influence. Through my human lens, I will lean on the relationships that I've created around me in the workforce. My power is to empower all who are around me, but I need to accept that power back. Structure. You will put in place, this is part of my vision and my steps. So I'm putting on my architect lens. That's what I think of, and I'm going to create my support system that I need to be in place to help me ignite my power and to embrace my structural frame. This will help me achieve balance. I will trust my mentor with my fears and challenges and accept the guidance, as this is part of my support system. In my new job, I was so lucky to have a mentor for 4 weeks. The person was retiring, and I couldn't have gotten a better person. And she changed my beliefs. And actually, I showed her these frames, and we both found it very interesting that we had a lot of similarities, but differences. And it was those differences that really helped me reset and grow. So from the symbolic frame, my power is to keep the faith and believe in myself as I would others, to remember that each frame is symbolic in its own way, and to focus on drawing the positive outs. In each frame, the role of presence is cultivating, and this will help me stay grounded. Presence will also help me find balance by allowing the challenges to flow in and out of each frame, and to be okay with that. With my new frames, I'm learning how to handle my behavior and how it contributes to all that are around me, to my setting, my environment, my community, how to handle the organizational structures and conflict among my peers. For now, in my new challenge, it's all about me. My commitment is to focus on my energy first, and part of this commitment is to practice presence using meditation and journal writing. This is going to help remove that noise. This is one of my favorite quotes, and I tend to mumble it to myself, and it was actually just something I saw in a store that someone painted on one of those country type frames, and it inspires me. What if I fall? But oh darling, what if you fly? And I am learning to leave my habitual spaces in each frame and strengthen those bridges. This will help me immensely become a more well-balanced leader in my job and even a better parent, friend, or partner. In this course, I have learned so much about my behavior, my comfort zones, or lack of, my vulnerability, but my strengths. the power. And many of my young adult beliefs that have caused cracks in my foundation and ultimately preventing me from fully believing in myself. Through collaboration, class discussion, I have been encouraged to step outside my comfort zone and be still in a safe place. Patrick, you've created that safe place, and I can't thank you enough. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation. I hope I was able to dig deep and provide you some insight of my takeaways and how I am committed to creating the support system that I need and to be successful in my new job. Thank you very much.